The Christians believe in God. Is this simply blind faith, or do we have real evidence for the existence of God?
Yeah, the Bible's pretty clear that the invisible God, Romans chapter 1, verses 18 through 22, that though we don't see the invisible God, we see the visible work of his hands, so that the invisible Creator has made his existence known to us through his creation. King David in Psalm 19:1 says, "The heavens declare the glory of God, the skies proclaim the work of his hands." So, and then in Romans 2, it says that even Gentiles who don't have God's laws written down on tablets of stone or in the Old Testament have God's laws written on their hearts, their consciences bearing witness. So there's certain indicators that would be evidence for God's existence. And so, so I would say that I'll just list some of the beginning of the universe. Virtually all the world's scientists agree that the universe had a beginning, most because of Big Bang cosmology, others because of the second law of thermodynamics, the energy deterioration, that the universe had a beginning. Well, whatever has a beginning needs a cause. And so if the universe had a beginning, the universe needs a cause. So the beginning of the universe shows that there must be a God, a cause of the universe. That's called the cosmological argument. The argument from design, that even if you looked at a single-celled animal, you'd find that it contains enough genetic information. This comes from Richard Dawkins, one of the new atheists. Richard Dawkins says that a single-celled animal contains enough genetic information to fill 20,000 volumes of encyclopedia. Well, you can't get that amount of information by chance. There had to be an intelligent designer. Or when you look at the Earth's solar system and the distance of the Earth from the sun, and the way the moon, the relationship of the moon and its orbit around the Earth, and even the other planets, Jupiter, where I believe works like a big vacuum cleaner, so that the planet Earth doesn't get demolished and all by asteroids or whatever. You look at change the chemical composition on the other side of the universe, and just 2%. And there'd be no life on the planet Earth. This is what scientists call the anthropic principle, from the Greek word anthropos, for man. They say that it appears as if the entire universe was created to support human life on the planet Earth. But then they say, well, this can't be the case. That sounds too much like the Bible. So then they come up with wild speculation to try to explain that away. Well, why explain away the evidence? Why not just be open to the fact that it appears as if the whole universe was designed to support human life on the planet Earth? And so when we see design, order, and complexity in the universe, it shows that it have to have an intelligent designer. So the beginning of the universe, the design of the universe. There is such a thing as right and wrong. I don't care if your name is Adolf Hitler. As far as I'm concerned, torturing innocent babies is wrong for all people at all times in all places. So if there are universal, absolute moral laws, then there had to be a universal, absolute moral lawgiver. And it just so happens we condemn the actions of the past. Even atheists condemn the actions of the past and try to build a better future. Well, they're acting like there's not only a moral, absolute moral standard, but they're acting like it doesn't change with time. It's eternal and unchanging. Therefore, the moral lawgiver must be eternal and unchanging. And so you have morality. Reason, human reason, our ability to know things, to be aware of our own existence, to find out truths about the world in which we live. To me, it makes no sense that, did we evolve into rational beings? That doesn't make sense. It seems that we were created by a rational being, and in that rational being's existence. So to explain human reason and the laws of logic, to explain the guilt that we experience. Even if we sin and no one's looking and no one else is hurt by it, we still feel guilty. It's as if someone is watching, and deep down inside, we know that we have sinned against him. And free will and human responsibility. If if man is nothing, if atheism is true and only matter exists, then and man is mere molecules in motion, then all our actions, all our decisions are biologically determined. And if you were to catch a cold, I wouldn't hold you morally responsible. So if you murdered 10 people, I shouldn't be able to hold you morally responsible unless that decision was made apart from your physical body in a non-material soul, and then it acts upon the body. And so if we have no non-material soul, then we're not responsible for our actions, and we need to open up the prisons and let the prisoners go. But even atheists hold people morally responsible. And so I think there's numerous different evidences. I think that life would be absurd if God doesn't exist. If God doesn't exist and there's no life after death with punishments and rewards, then it would make no difference whether you live your life like Adolf Hitler and slaughtered innocent people, or like Corrie ten Boom and risked your life to save the lives of innocent people. A million years from now, Hitler and Corrie ten Boom would have ceased to exist. Everybody they've ever influenced, for good or for bad, will have ceased to exist. Eventually the whole universe is going to blow up and not exist. So it makes absolutely no difference how you live your life. Human life is absurd. But if God exists and there is life after death and punishment and rewards, then life has meaning. So I think there's quite a few different places. The continuing existence of the universe makes no sense unless there's an infinite necessary being that grounds the existence of all temporary existence. So I think there's numerous places where we could find evidence for God's existence. I think clues is too weak of a word, but you know, they're clues to God's existence, but when we think about them, they become very strong arguments and evidences for God's existence. So I think I agree with Cornelius Van Til, not on all ways that he defended faith, but I agree with him on this point. He said that arguing against God's existence is like arguing against the existence of air. As you argue against the existence of air, that whole time you need to take in air to deny the existence of air. To deny God's existence presupposes His existence so that you're rational enough and smart enough to be able to make that denial. And so, so I think when everything's said and done, the evidence for God's existence is overwhelming. And when the atheist tries to argue that God doesn't exist, he's acting as if he lives in a rational universe, which implies that the universe had a rational cause. So even the atheist acts like God exists when he tries to argue against God's existence.